And tonight, the Technology Corner with Andrew Busch, economic futurist and CEO at BPI, joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today. So the Metaverse continues to leak into the real world, if there's any left at this point in time, or vice versa, really, right? Because Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, formerly known as Facebook, for anyone who's not up to speed, taking the next step in its evolution, a first ever retail store, right?
Yes. How ironic is it that Facebook, Meta, needs a physical brick and mortar store to sell their VR or virtual reality products? It's kind of mind bending, but there's reasons for this. They have 3 products that they want to sell and get into consumers' hands. And they really want to focus on how the consumers interact with the products. So they're really looking for a lot of data from these interactions. So they've got 3 products, which is 1, their VR headset. Then 2, they've got these Ray-Ban glasses for taking pictures and video for social media platforms. And then 3, they've got something called Portal, which really expands on their FaceTime product. But again, it's just hilarious that they actually have to get this into physical people's hands so they can join into the virtual reality world. So the world keeps turning upside down everywhere you look.
Yeah, it kind of, dismisses the entire notion of Metaverse, but I might be using the completely wrong terminology here because I understand zilch about it. But if the Metaverse, according to Zuckerberg himself, will only be intact, again, might be completely wrong terminology here, by the end of the decade at best. So what's the need of this store?
Yeah, I think a little bit of what's going on with Meta today is what happened back in 2000, 2001 for those companies that built streaming services before the telecom pipes were big enough to handle the volume, right? And so they failed. It took a while before Netflix had the technology to actually do what they do best, right? So I think it's the same with Metaverse, and I think that's what Zuckerberg's talking about. Now, their Reality Labs component of Meta just lost $3 billion last year, and I think that's what they're struggling with a little bit to get to that. But I also think there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. Nike just bought a virtual shoe company, a digital shoe company back in December. There are companies like Adidas and Molson Coors and others that are buying space in the Metaverse, places like the Sandbox and also Decentraland, and they're spending pretty big bucks to do it. So they're also anticipating this happening. But I think the market's got way ahead of itself. And I also think that we're going to see a pullback away from all of the stuff that we've been doing over the last 2 years because of COVID. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a normalization of buying patterns away from that and back into brick and mortar stores, which may be the whole reason why Facebook's doing what they're doing. So
for the time being, Andrew, are we just trapped in this twilight zone between the Metaverse and the real world, this limbo for the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think it'll take a while before this actually takes off. And what's interesting to me is we've seen all of the U.S. big tech stocks, Google, Amazon, Meta, all fall in value. It seems like over the last 2 years, we've pulled forward tech sales by about 10 years. And so now consumers are no longer going online as much to buy things online as much as they have been. As a matter of fact, brick and mortar stores for the first time last quarter outsold the sales were online. So I think that's really exciting for stores that have really suffered under COVID, that they're starting to come back, and we're seeing a normalization of spending patterns by consumers. So it's going to take a while for sure for the Metaverse to build out and places for like Decentraland and the Sandbox. But I think to some extent in entertainment especially, this is coming and more money is getting dedicated towards it.
And if you can get people to spend more money, then goal mission accomplished, right? Andrew Busch, economic futurist and CEO at BPI. Thank you very much for clearing the clutter over a topic, again, I know nothing about, but a tiny bit more after the conversation with you. Thank you very much, sir.